You turn down a little bit more? Just a little bit. Please.
Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fraser.
This is Real Talk with George and Fraser. What's going on, brother?
Nothing much, brother. How you been?
Oh, I've been
Chilling?
good, man. Yourself?
You're chilling, huh?
Yeah, man. You know. Listen, real quick, man. You got to put your phone on vibrate, man. Last couple of shows, your phone been going off. Our guests are saying stuff, man.
Everybody calling me at the wrong time right now. You be calling me the other stuff.
Vibrate, Fraser, or mute.
Bobby, can you vibrate because I'm doing Instagram at the same time?
It's craziness.
I know I'm doing Instagram at the same time, so like I thought about it, like, oh man, I can't do that. That hurt my feeling. Like, I do this. See, now my phone hooked up to the computer, so it rings double. So even I cut this down, it rings here. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna tell George about this. It's George's fault. George did it.
Okay, all right. Listen, we got a great show today. I've been looking forward to speaking to this lady because she's an author and I'm an author, and she has a program that's supposed to help authors become very successful. A lot of people don't understand this. If you're a self-published author, the difficulty is not really writing the book per se. The difficulty is promoting the book. So I'm really I'm excited to speak to this particular lady today. And Mrs. Christina Johnson, welcome to Real Talk.
Hey.
Hello. How are you? I am so excited to be here. I can't wait. I believe I have some gems for you all, so I can't wait to kind of share them.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, listen, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on. And let's get right to it. Tell the listeners and fans a little bit about yourself and your bio.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. First, I want to thank you for this opportunity to just, talk to your audience. You've taken time to add value and create a space for people like me, and I just truly appreciate it. So I'm Christina M Johnson. Testimony Publishers LLC is my publishing company. I am what they call a hybrid publisher. I'm not like the big wigs and I'm not real tiny, but I can get you exactly what you need for publishing. When I started online in 2017, I really didn't know much about publishing. I had published, but it was under other publishing companies. So when I started out to self-publish my own work, I couldn't really find anyone who really wanted to help me. Like, they saw me as competition. It was just like, I don't even want to get into that because we're keeping this high vibration. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Oh, I know.
My husband and I were like, okay, so what can we do? You're already doing the research. I have a background in biology, chemistry, and secondary education. So yeah, I'm great at looking things up, finding out about how to do things. So that's exactly what I did. So Testimony Publishers LLC came about because of the testimony behind why I actually started. I started because I want to serve people. I want to add value to the market. And then also on top of that, my first series was because of the testimony that I went through. I suffered a miscarriage. My husband and I were homeless with children, and all of that kind of went into me getting over that through writing and sharing my story. Now I'm helping other people to do that.
Beautiful.
Wow,
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
So how many books have you written, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. Okay, so before I became a self-publisher, I was already a published author. So I've been publishing since about 1998. The first thing I published was, and you all will probably think this is kind of funny, it was a scientific article in a medical journal. So that was actually my first real publishing. So nice. I published with medical doctors. I actually went overseas and I did research on a pandemic there. And it's funny, we're, in the midst of one here now. I never thought about that back then, but I was actually researching a pandemic in the Middle East. And then I published work with some other medical doctors on that. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I wrote a book. I co-authored a book entitled Emotional Wellness for Women, Volume 3. And that was under another publishing company, Professional Women Incorporated. And then I went on to start publishing my own books. And my first works were a series. It was actually so much information. I believe I divinely downloaded that information, and it came out and manifested itself as 4 books. It was a 4-book series entitled The Conqueror's Cash Series. So the 4 books were Faith to Conquer, Filter Your Faith, Faith to Forgive, and then Focus on Faith, Faith to Focus. So those were the 4 books. And then I turned that into an online course and virtual workshop, which we're going to talk about today, since you want to talk about, publishing and actually creating value in the market, and also starting and scaling businesses with your book or your story.
Nice. Now I'm going to ask a question like this. So tell me, by being a self-published, do you find it harder to get like bigger book deals, like with the Amazons and other bigger corporations who are actually not too good for the smaller people? They are good for the bigger publishing company. So how do you find a way to get around that?
Yeah, there are tons of ways to get around it. And the ones that I use with my clients, we just use, we go under other people who have the printing devices so that we can get our books printed on demand, instead of having to buy a bulk number of books and store them in our closets or garages and everything. So when people buy it, that's when the book is printed. So that's known as print on demand. Sometimes people call it POD. So we go under companies that already have everything in place, and they actually print our books. Then distribution is a big thing for smaller companies, but we have a contract with one of the largest distribution companies in the entire United States, and they distribute using Amazon. So we get the best of both worlds. Right. Amazon is huge. It started out selling books. Jeff Bezos, he started out selling books. So there is a market for whatever you want to write about. I mean, it can go from babies, ABCs, all the way to self-help, all the way to the eroticism books. Everything you want to know about, you can put in a book.
Absolutely. Hey. So what publisher are you using? Ingram Spark? Because I know as an independent publisher, it's hard. And the reason why I'll say it's hard is because you have your ideals. You want to be able to help people. There's a lot of different things that you want to add value to in the atmosphere. And like I was saying, the easy part is writing the book per se, because once that's done, there's services that you can use that will help you edit the book, make it sound more educational, and, make it easier for you in that process, and laying it out for you so you can do digital and print if you want to, and so forth and so on. But the hardest part is letting people know your book is out there, and the marketing and the, everything that you have to do to market the book. How do you address that, or do you have a service for that? Because a lot of other services that I try to approach and say, look, my books are written, they're all done. They're like, oh, well, no, we don't deal with books that are already published. We have to do the publishing ourselves. And I'm just like, well, if you're going to do the publishing yourself and everything yourself and blah, 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 you're charging me $25,000 for one book. You know what I mean? With the guarantee on the back end that you're going to get me podcast interviews and you're going to promote the book, and I'll be able to sell 200 copies a month and blah, blah, blah. But still, who has $25,000 laying around on one book? You know what I mean?
Okay, so I totally understand. I totally get it. And there are a lot of people who can totally relate to what you just shared. However, don't count anyone's money for them. I tell my clients that all the time. There are people out there with $25,000. There are people out there with $100,000. You just have, if that's your niche and that's your market, you will be able to attract those people. So for the market that I believe you are kind of speaking to right now, there's still money to be made there. So, okay. So what I do, first of all, I don't tell my clients to even write a book until they know that people want to buy it. So I'm going before the publishing, and I'm going to get to your specific point in a minute. So before you write a book, okay, you need to know that the book is not just for you. Okay, some people do write books, because it's cathartic. They want to do some healing. They want to journal and things like that. But for the most part, most of the people, the masses of people who purchase books, they want to sell the book. Right. And especially if you're a business owner and you're serving people, you wrote the book so you could serve. You can't serve if your book's not selling, okay? Or if no one's downloading your free book that you have as a lead magnet, okay? So I'm not sure if your audience knows about lead magnets or not, but a lead magnet is maybe something like a book or a checklist, anything that you want to give away free in exchange for an email address, a phone number, because people are doing the SMS texts and things like that. So it's like an exchange. So your lead magnet could be your book. Maybe you don't want the finances from it. You want to build your email list. Okay, so good. So what I would suggest is first you pre-sell the book. And do you have to write the book to pre-sell it? No, you don't. We're actually in the midst of my Book to Bank boot camp. We are pre-selling the idea of the book so that we can find out who wants that idea, who's going to be attracted to the idea of what you're writing about. Right. Once we get those people interested, let them know that we're writing the book, we are going to ask them, well, what specifically do you want to know about this? And we're going to put it in the book. In addition to what we already know needs to be in the book, we're going to give people what they want and wrap it in what they need, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right. After that, we've already pre-sold the book. We already know what people want in it. We have a pool of people who are going to, well, they've already purchased it through the pre-sale, but a pool of people who are going to support that whole idea of your book. So you have the money already to publish. You have the money for editing and formatting and the promotion that you're talking about. Because like you said before, publishing is actually the beginning of the process. Publishing your book and getting it out there, that's the beginning. And then you still have some other things to do. So now let's move on to if you already have a book published. So if you already have a book published, a lot of times people believe that everything is already done. Now, George, you already have your books published. I'm quite sure it is an awesome, awesome book or an awesome set of books. Sometimes other people, when they review your book or your writing, they may have something that they would have put in there. So find out what that is and then put it in your revamped version that you're then going to pre-sell, and maybe put a workbook with it, maybe some visual aid that they can work with. And it's now going to be attached to that new revised copy. Spice up the cover a little bit, just change the cover. It's not going to cost much with a lot of these freelancers that are out there on Upwork.com, Fiverr.com. And there are so many graphic designers who are ready to work. You can maybe find some independent graphic designers who aren't attached to particular platforms to do your cover for you, to redo your cover. So I would say just spice it up. If it hasn't been selling, invest about $50. Spice up that cover. Maybe you want to add something in, a nudes chapter that wasn't in the first book or books. Right. You want to add a supplemental piece that they can work on, like a 3 to 10 page workbook, or like I said, a visual. Maybe you want to put a bookmarker or affirmations, depending on whatever you wrote in your book. So spice it up a little bit, take it back to market. You're going to pre-sell the idea all over again. You're going to find out what people want specifically in it. You're going to put that in it. Give the people what they want. And then you're going to wrap it in what they need, because people don't want to know, oh, this green smoothie is good for you in the morning. They don't want to know that. They want to know, oh, I'm going to have abs by the time summer comes.
That's right.
That's what they want to know. They want, but you give them what they need, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. We call that teasers. Like, I thought learn that when you go advertising when they did movies. That's why they did trailers. Because remember back in the days, you couldn't sell a movie because nobody wanted to see a movie. Radio was blasting everywhere. They have shows on radio stations. Nobody would want to go in there. So that's how they started with trailers. To tease people to come into the theaters to try to catch the movie. And then the people know there's a technique to it. You can't just throw the beginning of a movie is boring. Can't throw the end of a movie. Who cares? Because you want to get the movie away. Right. You got to find exact pieces that will actually draw that person in.
Exactly.
What you just said a few minutes ago, how you had to tease the audience for that book. Same way you tease them for that movie. Like I don't do it now, but people now use more visual now to advertise the books now. You ever seen Amazon now? They have little shows, like little skits of what the book would look like. You be like, whoa, interesting.
Exactly.
I started recently, and it was funny because like, wow. It's an audio, it's a visual of the book. Where they made a small way to bring the book out. But let's at the bottom of it, book is not yet a movie, but you can't get a hard copy of blah, 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 on Amazon. I'm like, whoa. So that kind of like draw you into like, it could be a movie. Let me read it first before the movie come out.
And that's what they do. And even to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, Frazier, have you ever watched, and it may sound crazy, but sometimes when I'm watching a movie, you know, my family, we get together, we watch movies and everything, and we turn the volume down.
Yeah.
And it's like the movie is just like whack. I don't even know if people are using the word whack anymore, but you know, the movie is just like but when you turn it up and the music is going, and you know, it's an epic cinematic, you know, music playing in the background, and you hear all of the explosions. I mean, it just makes it. And that's what pre-selling and the trailers and they even call those movie trailers teasers. Right. You know, that's what they call them. And that's what it does. You want to build up that momentum. You want to get people excited. Another thing that you may want to think about, George, is getting a small group of people together and just say, look, we're getting ready to push this. So even if you don't change anything, right? Say you don't change anything, you don't revamp, and you leave it as it is, which may very well be perfect. Right. Get a small group of people together, 5 to 10 people that you trust, that you know are going to, you know, want to post and kind of support your efforts. And then just give them exactly what they need. And then just do like a 21-day, just like blitz. And then just like give the market everything that you believe would get them interested. Don't necessarily give them a picture of a page out of the book. Maybe you want to give a quote, or you want to just give a weird picture totally unrelated to the book, but then you tie it in because the picture is going to just get them attracted. And then you're going to tie in the text behind the picture. Or maybe you'll have people give a picture and then and say, well, what's a great caption for this picture? Describe this picture in 3 words. So you're trying to get people involved and motivated for when you finally bring your product or your book to market.
Right. Building a small team.
Exactly.
One thing for you. Let me ask a question. The audiobooks, you know, now people edging a little bit more towards audiobooks due to their busy schedule. So running out of COVID-19 is not as bad as it used to be, but it's getting normalized again. So like I noticed some books are now getting more creative. Mm-hmm. Like they're getting like adding, like you said, sound effects to books now. Like they added an actual boom boom as you read the person reading like. The story goes blah blah blah. Boom! Whoa! Snap! So it like adding kind of like cinematic movies to the book. Right. At the same time, you're still reading the book.
Right.
Or listening.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead, George.
Oh, no, I was going to say or listening because audiobooks now are the next biggest thing due to COVID and everything else. Instead of sitting down in 2 days reading a book, you get done with a book in 2 or 3 hours. Exactly. You know what I mean? And you're absorbing the information a lot faster. Exactly. I know that was the big push about 2 years ago. Amazon was pushing Audible because they bought that. And Google is also pushing their platform for a lot of audiobooks as well, too. So, yeah, it's definitely big. I mean, I like audiobooks because I can get done faster with a lot more books than I can sitting there reading. Not that I can't read. It's just hard, man.
Sometimes I just don't want to read. How about that?
Yeah, you know.
All of that kind of goes into it. Because with the audiobooks, you all brought something to memory for me with podcasts. Podcasts are actually increasing, and podcast style is sort of like the audiobook effect because you get to listen to it in your car. Audiobooks, you get to listen to it in headphones while you're jogging or working out or what have you. Right. So it adds like an added convenience to reading and still being able to digest and process the information. It's growing. But still, people do like to feel that book in their hand as they're reading. Yeah. So still do the print books, you know, in the hardback and soft cover, but know that there's another format in the audio version. And some people like to just download and read on their iPad or Kindle. So the ebook is also still a very, very good method. And ebooks can range from free to 99 cents all the way up to, I've sold some ebooks for like $197 that came with a couple of videos and some worksheets along with the value that was within that ebook. So they can range from different prices. You don't have to, and once it's up, that ebook is already up on the platform. You just do it once. You don't have to keep doing it for every person. Once it's up, it's up. Right. And people can just come and download that information. So
nice. So let me ask a question too, because I noticed like when I was going to smaller towns versus like bigger towns, like the smaller towns still believe in the old school way of reading the books by hand and paper. And some of the big cities now are getting millenniums where they get into the digital, everything there. That would probably put Barnes and Noble's in trouble. A lot of other big name bookstores who some closed down, some adapted, some didn't. Like how like you being a smaller publishing company, they feed into that frenzy and get it back. Say the need for paperback books, because you know in digital, a lot of printers not printing paperback books anymore because it's expensive.
Exactly. Okay, so this is the way that Testimony Publishers does it. I don't know about any other publishing company. we rely solely on initially we rely solely on our pre-sales. So we focus on getting thousands of dollars. I'm not talking about hundreds of dollars. I'm talking about getting enough money so you can publish your book and promote it after it's published. So that's our main focus in the very beginning. A lot of times people kind of overlook how much really needs to go into publishing and promoting. I mean, even if you can publish for, say, I've seen some people publish books for just maybe like $200, you know, paying somebody to edit it, or getting a friend who's, you know, a PhD or something like, I mean, it's ways around the thousands of dollars that people pay. However, when you want to promote it, if you don't have a huge marketing team or launch team like a lot of these big wigs, it's gonna cost you. It's gonna be an investment. So ways around that, you can kind of feed off of other people's audiences. So this is, you know, one of the things that I kind of wanted to share with your audience. When you are promoting your book and you've gotten past pre-sales, or you didn't do pre-sales and your book is already published, one thing that you can do to really get your book out there is to start bringing on people related to your book and allow them to add value with you, and you feed off of their audience, and then they feed off of your audience. For example, what we're doing here with this awesome interview, our audiences are going to co-mingle at some point, if not now in this moment, you know, later on when they watch it, you know, people that didn't know about me, your audience is now going to be able to know a little bit about Christina. People that didn't know about you, as far as my audience is concerned, they're going to learn about George and Fraser. So we're sharing, and it's not that, you know, I'm going to take any of your clients or you're taking, no, you can't take someone's clients. It just does not work like that. You know, that person was going to go to somebody else and not invest in you. That's what they were going to do from the beginning, honey. Nobody talked them into, no. That's what was going to happen, because that's just energy. Sometimes people, you know, they want to change their mind, which they have a right to do, or, you know, someone else is better suited. And then if you're in a specific niche, you know, you and I could service the same people. Okay. So I publish, and then you all interview and do the different things that you do separately. So it's a lot of different ways that you can kind of borrow other people's audiences. Another thing that you can do to help promote a book that's already published, a book that's already done, finished, and on the market, like I said, you can go back and you can revamp it if you choose to. If you don't want to revamp it, get that small group of people to do that 21-day blitz. Over the next 21 days, you're going to have them posting images, maybe contacting people that they know, sending the link, you know, just to people that respond and say that they're interested. You know, you're going to interview some people, bring people on and see if they will be able to collaborate in some way, shape, or form. For example, I have the Entrepreneurs Creating Wealth Beyond Six Figures Facebook group. We're almost at 1,000 people. You all are welcome to come and do an interview. You see how I put that in there, right?
Oh, absolutely. You know, anytime, let us know.
I will bring you on live and, you know, just, you know, talk. And then you'll be able to speak with some of the people within the group, find out if they're interested in coming on the show. And then hopefully you'll get some more people to on board for what you want.
Absolutely. You know, we definitely believe in cross promotion. You know, we had a guest say it once, you know, it's what is it? It's what do you say, Faze? It's collaboration, not competition.
Yeah,
that's right.
Definitely.
And it's beneficial, because this platform of podcasting has taken off, and it's taken off more during COVID, because everybody has a voice to say and everybody has a platform, you know, and it's been very beneficial, because we like to serve our community and our community of people of color, because we've been very underserved, and the knowledge that you're giving us and the value that are giving us in this show, it's really not out there readily. Like your counterparts per se don't want you out there giving this particular knowledge. Like you said, oh, you can do a book for $200. I wish I would have knew that, because I spent $15,000 for the 4 books that I put out. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. And that's not bad.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that knowledge is key, because if you would have known that, maybe I could have cut some corners as opposed to be 15. Maybe it could have been 6 or 8. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But like I was saying before, your counterparts are out there pushing the 25,000, 50,000. You'll get this, that, and third. And people in our community are like, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." You know, $25,000. I can go buy a house and flip that. You know what I mean? As opposed to writing a book when it comes to certain things. So a lot of times we price ourselves out because we don't have the knowledge depth in place for a lot of different things. Even Fraser and I are in real estate together. We're doing a lot of other things together. You know what I mean? And we see that all the time, where people think that it costs a whole lot more money than it actually costs to get into certain things. And, you know, we don't have the knowledge and continue to pass that knowledge along within our community, because we always feel like they may get and I may not get, or they have and I don't have. And it's just like we rise or we fall together. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I definitely appreciate you making that offer, because anything that we can do to help your audience rise up, you know, they rise, we rise. Exactly. It's definitely all good. We have a few more minutes left in this interview. I wanted to talk a little bit about your podcast and what your podcast is.
Yeah. The Mommy Podcast. So the Mommy Podcast is an acronym. The word mommy, each letter stands for something. So it's really the Mommy Podcast is mompreneurs optimizing marriage, motherhood, and yes, your money. So that's what, you know, it stands for. And I bring everyone on. It's not just for women. What I wanted to do, I just wanted to create another opportunity for people to talk about starting or scaling a business using whatever means they had. And a lot of times, especially as women entrepreneurs, and men go through it as well. But as women, you know, we are nurturers most often. You know, we're the ones that are usually at home with the children. We have to bear the children. So it's a lot that goes into, you know, our role as women and mothers. So as female entrepreneurs, I've found in my experiences with them and with us is that we don't always get the encouragement that we need to actually follow our dreams. And when I say that, our dreams may be to get married and have children and things like that. But at the same time, we may also have other dreams that we want to accomplish. And starting a business is, you know, not seen as one of the things that a lot of women should be doing, as opposed to some men. So if a man and a woman came to you with a business idea, statistically speaking, there are like, you know, stats that support me that would say the man would most likely get the funding, they would most likely get the support, and then the woman would be pushed to the side. So that's what the Mommy Podcast is all about. Just getting people to give information, to feed the audience that's listening, to give encouragement, motivation, whatever it takes for that mommy to go out there and just follow her dreams, because she can have it all too, but maybe not all at the same time. She might have to, you know, rear the babies for a little while, you know, like I did, you know, and then as they get a little bit older, or maybe we've seen some of those pictures on Facebook and Instagram with the sister holding the baby doing the schoolwork.
That's right.
We get it done, you know, especially our people. We're so resilient. Our people are beautiful, expansive, and always growing. Oh my goodness, we can't be stopped. So whatever your situation is, the Mommy Podcast is just, you know, a cool podcast to kind of listen to.
Yeah, I wanted to add on to that as well too, because a lot of us are here because of our grandmothers and our mothers. Either our fathers were workaholics, or our fathers were absent, or our fathers just dipped in and our fathers worked out. I mean, dipped out. You know, my father was a workaholic, so I only really saw my father on the weekends. There's nothing wrong with that, because he made a change for me, you know, so I wanted to be a present father in everything that I did. So that's why I created the lifestyle that I have, to make sure that my kids know where I am when they go to bed, and they know where I am when they wake up. You know? So much to the point that even my daughter, anytime I leave, she goes, ask me, where you going? And it just gets to the point now, I'll be like, I'm not married to you. I'm going to answer them questions. You know what I'm saying?
What you built on is so awesome, because I was just talking to my children. in not wanting to train them to be someone else's laborer. We want them to be kingdom builders and build a legacy and inheritance for themselves. So that's what we're doing. But a lot of times the generations before us really didn't have that knowledge. Like you talked about sharing that knowledge and things like that. They didn't have that. All they knew was get a good education or go to work and retire. So that's what they do. And they did the best they could with that. But now we're revamping this whole thing and like, no, we are building for our line and our generation. That's and right. That, it sounds like that's what you've done in Fraser as well, what you all are doing, especially with this platform.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, hold on, Fraser. I just want to add this part real quick. I know what you're going to say, Fraser. I got you, Fraser. You know, that's why I wrote this book, you know, called How to Use Your Credit Rating to Put You on the Path to Debt Freedom.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why I have to keep doing that, because they rearranged my title a little bit, but that's the premise of the book. That's something that I learned like 3 or 4 years ago to be able to put me here, because once that happens, money has always been the big part of our community. And sometimes we're always searched out. Sometimes we get added more points. Sometimes they use our credit more. But if you know how to use and work the credit system and the credit game for yourself, now all of a sudden you can become your own hard money lender and your own bank to do the things that you need to do and how you want to do it. Exactly. And I literally, Fraser knows this, I literally went almost 10 years looking for money and funds for deals, businesses, and everything else like that. And I just couldn't get it. Right, it literally took a gentleman who used to be a underwriter. He was an underwriter for over 30 years until he got sick and couldn't do it. And he saw my profile and he was like, George, you know how many people I've met with a credit score over 800? And I said, no, sir. And he said, you're the 5th. He said, you're 99% of the way there. You just don't know this 1%. And that was June 2019, June 2019. By September 2019, I had my first $1 million line of credit. But it took me 10 years to get that and finance that. And I was just like, where could I have been 10 years earlier if I would have had that? Because what happened then was with that line of credit, instead of doing one real estate project at a time, I was able to do 5 or 6 in a clip because I had $1 million. You see what I'm saying? So it was just, after learning that, I was like, oh, I got to write this book. I said, this can't be that simple, that we're handcuffed and not even know that it's out there. You can do things like that. So I just wanted to add that, because you being a publisher and understanding everything and mentioning a bunch of your entrepreneurs and everything like that, there's ways to do it and get it done where you don't have to always go ask somebody, beg somebody, or put something in place to definitely make it happen.
Go
ahead, Fresh.
Oh, yeah, dang, after how you try to follow that up? I'm like, you
can do it. Go ahead, Fraser.
No, I reflect a little bit what you said before about how traditions play a big part in how we were growing up.
Yeah, you know, like, we were all taught wrong.
Retired pension, and what changed me was one day when I got sick, and I went and checked on my IRA, called them up. Guy says, "I'm calling to check how much I have available accumulated so I can see if I retire, what I would have retire."
Right.
And the guy literally told me, he says, you're already at 20-some years. So we're looking at 20-some years, give another 10 years, you're looking at about $300,000, maybe $400,000.
Okay.
Oh, time out. Right. How much you just said? After how many years? So I went and added my, right there, I added my pay up. If I'm averaging $60,000 a year, add that up times whatever you want to time it to, 8,000, whatever, it's 20 times more than my retirement was.
That's right.
So technically saying this, I might as well stay working. Why waste my time for all these years waiting on something that they gonna give me what pensions of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Right. And that's kind of how they do it. But they do it, they spend that little $3,000 or $4,000 loan, or some will do is some company will actually double it after you retire with your Social Security, all that stuff. That's why it's so important you get all that one time versus once. And you would never know that because they don't tell you that little secret.
And they don't tell you either that they're investing your money.
That's right.
There for the 30 years. That's what they're doing. The banks and all of those, companies that do that, they're investing it and increasing their bottom line, and then they're giving you the smaller portion of what's left. So it's just crazy. Having your own hard assets is really good. I'm sorry.
That's record of modern day slavery. It's called modern day slavery. Right. Not instead of slavery with money, with labor, instead with labor and money. You get hit twice. Can you imagine? You get hit twice. And our fault. I'm gonna tell you this. No, people get mad at me. as African American, as our culture, we are workers. We work hard in everything we do. We put 180% in everything we do, which is a curse and a gift, all at the same time.
Yeah, but you just have to recognize it, phrase, for what it is, because that's in our DNA in this particular country. Exactly. We have to be 200% to our counterparts 80%, not sometimes all the time. You have to understand that the moment that they understand that you're a person of color, you're always behind. I mean, always behind the starting line. Everything from mortgages to everything else.
One thing I do want to add is, okay, so what I like to do in my mind and in my spirit is calling me to I guess present this is we already know who we are. Okay, in the sense of those that have knowledge of self. Even those that don't have knowledge of self, they are coming from still a place of at least physically having everything that they need to be successful, because it's in our genes. You said it's in our DNA. So I don't necessarily see working hard and things like that as a negative. It's just how you do it. We want to try and change that working hard into working smarter. Exactly. And then that's where, like you were talking, George, the information comes in, the mentors, the coaches. But overall speaking, I know a lot of people don't believe in systemic racism, but from the very beginnings of the our entrance into this particular country, systems have been put in place so that we don't achieve. So those that don't necessarily have the knowledge, we can't always point at the finger and say, oh, well, you need to know this. No, it's being hidden. And it's only being divinely revealed to a small portion of us. Mm-hmm. So that small portion, George, Frazier, Christina, we have to then say, okay, I'm going to give back. I'm going, just like we're doing, we are giving back. Those people who have been called, meaning the small percent that have been divinely given the eyes to see, the ears to hear, okay, they have a responsibility too. Many of them aren't going back. Some of them are not going back. And that's where the individuality and then the spirit of that individual comes through if they're not giving back like they're supposed to. But a small percentage of us are the ones that have been called to teach and do, and then it's on us. It's not on the whole group of, everyone is not going to lead a particular country. Usually you have one leader in a country, and then you have, maybe a smaller group under, and then another, a larger group, but still a small group under that group. So that's how it's done. So we are the leaders. We've been called already. So now it's up to us to go forth and teach and share what we know. So I don't really get into like some of the people.
You could also say preach too. We accept that.
Preach.
Teach and preach. Go ahead. I was waiting on that. That's why I was sitting there looking at you. Come on, let's go.
Get at you. And it's so, I don't know. It's just, I'm so passionate about it because, my children are not like any other children that I've met. And I'm quite sure your children are distinguished as well, only because of what you're teaching them. And when they go out into the world, they have, their vision and their wisdom is like beyond mine. And I'm like, okay, what did I do? Okay, divinely it was given to them first and foremost. So I'm thankful and grateful for that. But then on top of that, it's what we were putting into them from a very young age. And they now have the wisdom to go out and say, oh, well, no, I'm not just going to blow through, this money. Maybe I'll accumulate it, because we have another thing in this house. We don't talk about saving for rainy days, because if you save for a rainy day, it's going to be rainy. Probably tomorrow. We save or accumulate funds so we can reinvest it and buy assets. That's what we're trying to train our children to do. Don't save for a rainy day. If you're saving your money, it's going to be for a purpose, for something that is going to then yield some type of return on investment for you and your family. That's right. So it's those little things like that where we got to keep pushing. And then the more we do it, but even the scripture said the poor will always be with you, be with us. So it's always going to be that group of people that may not ever get it, but we're just going to keep moving forward. If we got to drag some people, that's going to be okay. Yep. We've done it before, put people on our backs, bring them up, feed the homeless, whatever we got to do so that we'll keep those positive vibrations and all of that going for generations to come within our family lines.
That's true. That's true. And I'm going to touch base on that too. It's a stat. If you notice, most Americans now refusing to go to work for somebody else rather than work for themselves. And now it become a problem now. So now the mindset changes. Now the big person wants to suppress it back again. He wants to bring that times back again. So now you can't. See, once people
we out now.
Exactly.
What do you say, Fresh? We's free.
We free. Now you're free now.
Right.
When I say you feel mindset, be careful what you open up. Okay, remember, if you ever look at anything in history, once the mind opened up, great civilization has fallen because of that. That's why they suppress so much civilizations. Look at Rome. When the citizens realized that Caesar wasn't really what he's saying, and realized once he died that it was chaos, they didn't believe nothing about them after that because you took away what you had in place to suppress them. So people understand is if you have a kid born into something, he don't know anything other than that. You see, if you take a thing back what slavery was, the first group was rebellion. They knew what life was like. It lived life. You know what it was. But kids born into it did not get a taste of that freedom. Right. They didn't get a taste of that mindset saying, I can work for you for what? Man, I'm gonna do what I want. So they suppressed that. They kept that mindset forever and ever years to guess what? One day I shall open again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even how long did it take? And we still got some brothers and sisters that are blinded.
We do. So Willie Lynch and all the things that were done on those plantations to our people, and it's still being done now, but just in different ways. But like I said, it's a small group of people that have been chosen to overcome that. And I think that's what we're doing. We're moving towards that. And it looks different for a lot of people, but it's still ways that we are showing that, okay, you know, I'm now realizing, you know, I am who, you know, the divine creator says I am. I can move and do certain things that I've been called to do without fear of punishment or death. And even if I'm faced with that, I'm still going to be okay. In some way, shape, or form, in the here and now, or in years to come, you know, another realm, so to speak. You know, it's going to be all right because that's what I've been called to do. Stand for truth or whatever that thing is.
Absolutely. So wrapping up the show really quick, I want to get some tips from you. Okay. New entrepreneurs. What are some tips that you can give new entrepreneurs?
Okay, so tips in general for new entrepreneurs is to find someone who is doing what you believe you want to do and study that person. If you can talk to that person, get mentorship or coaching from that person, maybe work as an apprentice, I don't know. Whatever you have to do, just learn what that person is doing. Sometimes when I find a product that I really, really love, or a coach or mentor, I will go and I'll purchase their product and see what funnel they take me through during the purchase. So I can say, okay, oh, wow. Okay, so that's the upsell. Oh, that's the down. Oh, and in my mind, I'm reverse engineering. Okay, how can I do that for me with the way that I run my business? So for a general entrepreneur, find someone doing what you want to do and then study that person or get under their tutelage somehow. For a writing or an infopreneur, someone who uses their writing, their literary content, who wants to start or scale a business, I would say the best thing for you to do is find out who and how. Okay, so who wants your product and how you're going to disseminate that information, your product or service, to them. Once you have that, because in order to be a literary content entrepreneur or an infopreneur, you pretty much know you have what you have, and someone's going to need that information. So hopefully you're starting with that anyway. So once you get past that point, you need to find out who needs it and how am I going to get it to them. Once you figure out those two things, which are major things, then I think the rest will kind of work itself out.
Absolutely.
So tell everybody where they can find you at. If they want to connect with you, if writers want to connect with you, with your public company, tell them where to find you at.
Awesome. So I have a website. It's http:// and then my name, Christina Marcia Johnson.com. So I don't know if I can put that in the chat, but Marcia is Christina is CHRISTINA. Let's see if I know how to spell my own name. MARCIAJOHNSON. So ChristinaMarciaJohnson.com. And you can go there. It has a little bit about me. You're going to see pictures of my babies on my website, my offers, all of the books and things like that. And then I also have a Facebook group. It's free. It's a free private group for entrepreneurs that want to start or scale their businesses using literary content. And we are called Entrepreneurs creating wealth beyond six figures. And the three main things that we focus on are networking, collaboration, and promotion.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Well, listen, we will definitely be signing up for that Facebook group. If you can send us the link, I greatly appreciate it.
Awesome.
And we thank you for being on the show and sharing time with us. We definitely, everything, I was sitting here absorbing everything, taking a few notes myself. So it's definitely all good. And we definitely appreciate you.
Yep. And my turn.
Go ahead. Go.
My turn. Welcome to the family.
Yes, I'm in. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
I'm so appreciative of being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of your day.
All right.
Good weekend, man. Good
And
weekend.
I thank you. And I just clicked the X to exit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes,
thank you.
Yep,
Thank
bye.
you. Oh man.
Let me tell you, we got a good show.
Another banger.
Another banger. All right, y'all. Another great show. Listen, don't forget to check us out. Check out our Facebook page, shows we have coming, shows that are scheduled. Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fred.
And that was Real Talk with George and Frazier.
And don't hit that follow button.